What is the major decision I'm making today? Well, if some of you had caught the thumbnail of this live stream, you might be able to guess what it is. But for those who haven't seen the thumbnail and just got right to the live stream, I'm going to tell you right now, the announcement is I'm going on a diet. Again. Because this actually isn't the first time I've gone on a diet. The first time I went on a diet was many years ago, back when I was still living in Maryland. And back then, I was around 280 pounds. Like, back then, I was absolutely, ashamed of it. But I think I'm at a point now where I feel more comfortable talking about it. Like, the reason it got that far was because I kept telling myself, okay, I won't get past that weight. Okay, I won't get past that weight. Okay, this is the stopping point. I'm not going to go past this weight. But it's like no matter what I did, like no matter how many times I ran on the running machine or like how many bottles of vitamin water I drank, I wasn't losing the weight. In fact, I was gaining the weight. And a lot of it had to do with I was not giving up the comfort foods I was eating, which was a lot of stuff that was high in fat, high in carbs, high in sugar, sodium, stuff like that. So I was kind of shooting myself in the foot in a way. So then one day, my older brother Daniel came to me and is like, "Hey, I found this idea online for like a diet plan. You want to try it with me?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Not only was it like an opportunity for me to lose weight, but it was a fun little collaborative project I could do with my brother. And it sounded pretty fun at first. Then we get to what the actual diet was about back then. So what we did on the weekends was the night before, we would prep, I think it was about 30 trays, 15 for each of us, if I did my math correctly. And these meal trays that we would have about 2 or 3 times a day. And these trays would have cooked chicken and broccoli. That's it. That's it. Like, it's the fresh, plain, non-additive chicken that you find at the stores and the bags of broccoli that are frozen, but they did not have sugar added to them. That's a very important detail. Like, the sugar can actually work against you whenever you go on a diet, whichever diet you choose. So it's very important to significantly reduce the unnecessary sugars that you take in. Unless they're like from fruits and veggies, because I don't think those sugars are that harmful. So there's that. So it was just plain cooked chicken because we were worried that like the sauce or seasonings, like any sauce or seasonings, could add unnecessary calories in there. The goal was to significantly reduce the calorie intake and basically burn more calories than we were taking in. That was the basic idea behind it. It definitely wasn't easy, especially when we were first starting out, because like the first few weeks, it felt like, actually no, first couple months or so, the first couple months, it felt like torture to me. Like, I felt like I was punishing myself because I was restricted to just chicken, broccoli, and these protein shakes that my older brother found and did a subscription to. Like, you could do different flavors like a chocolate protein shake or a mint protein shake, but it's like there was no BSing around it. You knew what you were getting into. So the protein shakes tasted good, but the problem was like afterwards you had to clean the little mixer thing that goes inside. It's like a springy thing. You also had to clean the cup, the lids, the inner lids, and then the outer lids in its entirety. Because like if you do not clean them after a while, they smell. They smell really, really bad. Like, when you use those protein shake containers, you gotta clean them right away. Otherwise, you're not gonna like what you're smelling. So, the first couple months were really hard, and it was like this. You had to bring a certain amount of discipline for yourself in this, because, like, you had to stay committed to it, Because when it comes to diets, the goal is to lose weight, and a lot of it involves like giving up a lot of your comfort foods. Because if you go back on those during the diets, like even on cheat days, which we will get to later, then you could kind of defeat the whole purpose of the diet and gain back the weight you lost, if not gaining more. So after the first couple months, it was actually pretty easier. I started to see the results as I was going on the weight scales and, seeing the number going down, going down, going down. And it gave me the confidence to keep going with this because I felt like, hey, this is actually working. I'm losing weight. This is fantastic. So we kept going with it. And eventually my older brother found a certain seasoning or I think it was like a barbecue flavor or something, but something to add to the chicken without adding too much of the unnecessary calories. It would add more flavor, which would make the meals more enjoyable, but it didn't add too much of the unnecessary stuff we didn't need in the diet. So I believe it was about 5 or 6 months in, and I went from 280 all the way down to 220, which was like a major accomplishment for me. I lost 55 to 60 pounds within the span of several months, and I felt great. Now, nowadays, when we moved to Colorado, the thing was like, while I did not let my weight go back up to like 280, I did gain a few pounds. Like, it was like 225 at the minimum and 230 at the worst. So thankfully, I was still able to keep down, like I was able to keep off the weight I lost, but unfortunately, 225 to 230 is still considered obese with someone in my situation. Like, I'm 5'11", I'm a male, and I'm around my early 30s. So, like, it's better than I was before, but it's still not where I need to be health-wise. And one of the reasons I'm wanting to do this now is actually 2 reasons, I should say. 2 reasons is, number one, I'm tired of tired of looking like it has a second chin to it. And I'm kind of getting tired of this being like a jelly bean or something like that. Like, I'm sure it's probably convincing for like when I had to play Santa Claus a couple times, but I'm pretty much done with that appearance. It's gotta go. The other reason that I want to kind of lose weight now is because, well, I heard from my parents and looked online, as you get older, it actually becomes much harder for you to lose the weight. So for me in my early 30s, this could be like my best and probably last chance to, not only lose the weight, but also keep it off for good. So I'm currently at, let's see, when I first started the diet earlier this week, I was around like 227, 225. My goal is to get all the way down from that, all the way down to 170 pounds. That is considered a healthy weight for someone of my gender and someone of my height. So that's the game plan. So how am I going to go about doing this? Originally, I thought about doing a keto diet because that was something that was very similar to what me and my older brother Daniel were doing, which was like significantly reducing the calories and also significantly reducing the calories and also being very restrictive in terms of what foods you could eat. Now, it wasn't a one-for-one the same thing as a keto diet, but it was very similar. So I thought, I've done this once before. Maybe I could do it again. So I was kind of preparing myself for something like that. But then my dad, so I talked to my dad about it, and he actually recommended something else, which was the Mediterranean diet, which is the most popular diet out there. And as I was doing research between Mediterranean and keto, I could understand why. Unlike the keto diet, which is very, very restrictive, The Mediterranean diet is a lot more flexible, for lack of a better word. The goal of it is to focus more on stuff like fruits and veggies and seafood in particular. Like not much red meats, like that would be like a rare occasions, but like chicken and seafood like shrimp, tuna, salmon, stuff like that. So basically it is eating more of the good stuff and eating less of the bad stuff. So it sounds very simplistic, and I looked at both of them, and each of them have their ups and downs. So the upside with the keto diet was you can lose weight very quickly because it is a very restrictive diet. But the thing is, I don't think a keto diet is supposed to be followed for like a very long time, maybe like a few months, and then that's it. And a couple of the downsides for it, and the reason that it is called a keto diet, and I'm just looking up right here, make sure I get my words right. Where is it? So, darn it. Like, I had this prepared beforehand, I swear. Here we are. Okay. So, part of the reason that the keto diet is called a keto diet is because what this does is because you're taking in significantly less, it sends your body into a state called ketosis, where your body focuses on consuming the fat in your body rather than the carbs you're taking in. So, it sounds good in theory to lose the weight very fast. However, the problem is diets with higher fat content like keto can pose risk to heart health. The keto diet may not be indicated for people with certain medical disorders and is not considered safe for those with liver or kidney conditions. So it's something you would only do for like a few months and then get off because you don't want to be on it for too long. And I did some research on the Mediterranean diet as well, and the main downside I saw for the Mediterranean diet is mostly that because of the fact that it's a bit more flexible in terms of like what you can eat and what you can't eat, it can be pretty hard to follow. There's a lot more flexibility, but the discipline has to come from you. Like, you need to decide, like, what are you going to eat and what are you going to not eat? For example, like, for me, I'm going to focus on, focusing on, like, stuff that's good with protein, like peanut butter and chicken. Not together, mind you. That is a very weird combination. No. So stuff like that, but also, like, vegetables like avocado and cucumbers and, spinach and stuff like that, but also fruits like apples, bananas, some berries like grapes and blueberries and stuff like that. Focus on the foods that will get me the right nutrients. And some of these sacrifices I have to make in terms of this Mediterranean diet is, obviously, I cannot do too many sugary stuff, which is unfortunately what I've been kind of guilty of as of late. Like, looking back, I kind of indulged in too many of the wrong stuff more than I should have. Like, during work, I would get a box of Uncrustables and, have those for lunch. And, it's a feel-good food. But, like, it has a lot of unnecessary sugar and stuff like that in them, which is probably why I like them. There was also, like, butter croissants I would do, a pack of those during work. And, again, it's a feel-good, but it has too many of the wrong stuff in terms of, like, losing weight. You're not supposed to have those on a regular daily basis. And obviously there was a bunch of fried food that I would get for lunch breaks. You're probably seeing a pattern here. Sharon Starkey writes, I hate diets because unless you plan on staying on a diet, you will gain the weight back. So it is best to change your eating lifestyle rather than the diet. And that's actually one of the reasons, Miss Sharon, that's actually one of the other reasons why I chose the Mediterranean diet over the keto diet. Because, like you said, unless you plan on staying on a diet, there is a chance you could gain the weight back. And it's like with the keto diet, you don't want to stay on it for long, maybe like a few months and then that's it. You don't want to stay on it long term. But with the Mediterranean diet, from what I've heard from a few people and website sources, it's less of a diet per se and more of a change in lifestyle. Kind of like as you said, so it's best to change your eating lifestyle rather than the diet. So it's kind of like that. More of a change of a lifestyle rather than, sticking to a strict diet. And there's more to it than that, which I will get to in a bit in the stream. So, one of the other things I did is I did too many fried stuff. Obviously, you want to avoid those because too much grease in them. And, during the first week of the Mediterranean diet this past week, I did a lot of research in terms of, a lot of the foods I was eating. Not just the dessert stuff, not the desserts and sweet stuff, but also, the bags of chips. The times I would go to Chipotle, the times I would go to Walmart and get some other things. And I realized something. It was like I realized to myself, forget the sugars, that my biggest problem is sodium. That's the biggest issue for me. Because too much sodium, if I remember correctly, not only makes you hungrier, but it also stores the fat. I'll look it up here. What happens if you have too much sodium? So, a lot of the stuff I was eating had a whole lot of sodium in them. That's why I always felt more hungry, and that's why I kept eating more stuff. I was like, oh, why? So, I was realizing I was kind of shooting myself in the foot. So, too much sodium could lead to, high blood pressure, increased thirst, headaches, and, more thirst, and sometimes if you're too thirsty, that could be disguised as hunger. Because I learned that if you're dehydrated, it could easily be mixed up with being hungry. So that's probably why I was eating more, because I was not drinking enough water and I had too much sodium. So not only did I had to give up a lot of the dessert stuff for quite a while, I'll have to say, but it also means I cannot do Chipotle, I cannot do Cheez-Its, I cannot do Ruffles, I cannot do any of these of the sort until that weight is gone. Gone. So, it's some pretty big changes I had to make. But the thing is, while I'm making big changes, it doesn't really feel as restricted as I did with the previous diet, which is close to the keto. What I did this past week was, in the morning, I would do English muffins, which I did low calories and also whole wheat and multigrain, which is something they emphasize on the Mediterranean diet, but also olive oil. Olive oil is a big plus for the Mediterranean diet, as it contains a lot of the nutrients needed. So what I did was, for breakfast, I would toast the English muffins, and then do 1 tablespoon of olive oil for each of the halves. So, 4 of them. So, very low in calories, but still very satisfying. Especially when you add, the seasonings, like Parmesan and rosemary and stuff like that. So, that actually kept me good in the morning, and I didn't really feel hungry. That was the big thing. Not only did I increase my water intake, not only did I increase my water intake, but I've also, switched to eating the right stuff, and I was surprised with the fact that I wasn't really hungry throughout the day. And what I did for lunch, because lunchtime is like the critical part, because that's when it's around that time of the day when you're burning the most calories, and you kind of need them to get the body, keep the body going. What I did was I actually did Subway. Now you're probably thinking, wait, Subway? Why that? That's because with the Subway sandwich I made, there was actually a lot of the stuff in that Subway provides that I was able to put together, which is something that would be good for the Mediterranean diet. Let me pull it up here. So what I did was a foot long of the whole wheat and multigrain. Again, recommended. No, I didn't want to add to the bag. I wanted to look at the details, darn it. So I did the hearty multigrain toasted, and I did the grilled chicken. Now, when I did the grilled chicken, I did it by itself. I didn't add the teriyaki sauce to it because the teriyaki sauce is bad. Well, maybe not too bad, but it's bad in terms of the Mediterranean diet. You don't want it. So what I did was I did the grilled chicken by itself with the hearty multigrain. I did lettuce, spinach, cucumbers, red onions, red wine vinegar, which is just as good as olive oil, and a little bit of salt, and some smashed avocado. Avocado is a really good one. Now, as for the cheese, because I usually love putting cheese on like the sandwiches, the pasta, a lot of stuff. In terms of cheese, I actually opted for Parmesan instead. The reason being is because Parmesan is a much stronger cheese, and thus you would only need less of it in comparison to like something like pepper jack or like American cheese. But it's because the Parmesan is stronger that I'm able to use less and thus significantly reduce the calorie intake in that department. So I was able to have a foot long for lunch, and it was all under 1,000 calories, and it provided the nutrients I needed. So I can make sure, I'm filling up with food, but also like not going too high in terms of the calories, get the right nutrients in. And this 1 week alone has actually made quite a difference for me, because like I don't feel as starving as I did before I started the diet. I'm actually quite content with, the portions and the foods I'm eating, which is, I'm actually surprised myself because I had figured the first week would be tough, but this week was actually not that bad. I was able to get the right foods in, keep the calorie intake to a minimum, and also like drink more water, because I'm actually trying to drink twice as much as I did before, because like beforehand I would drink around like 4 cups worth a day, when the truth is I should have been doing 8. So I'm actually doing more of this now. And within the first week, I've actually lost around 5 pounds, impressively. So I went from around 227, 225, all the way down to like 223 or 221. So it's getting close to like 5 pounds, and I'm sure I'll hit the 5 pound loss mark by the end of this week. So very good work, but I don't want to be patting myself on the back just yet, because I feel like the first weight you actually lose is like water weight and not actual fat, and there's like a big difference. Water weight is much easier to lose rather than like actual fat. Like actual fat you need to work off. It's not just about like having a good diet. You need to make sure you're active. You need to be doing exercises. You need to walk around, do stretches, stuff like that. So I feel like once I get to the actual fat, then I'm going to have to put more effort to it if I want to keep the weight loss rate as it is. Now, there is a certain elephant in the room that I do need to address, and that is, cheat days. Those who are on a diet always look forward to cheat days, because that's the time where they kind of break the routine and eat what they want to eat. Here's the problem, though. When it comes to cheat days, the important thing is that you cannot overindulge. Just because you can eat whatever you want doesn't necessarily mean you should. Because, like, if you do, like, 4 to 5 days of a diet and then have one day where you're, like, loading on Chipotle and Cold Stone like I used to do. I miss those days. But I need to lose the weight. So the problem is, like, if you overindulge on a cheat day, you could potentially defeat the purpose of that past week of a diet, you know? So you don't want that. So the thing about cheat days is that you can break the routine and eat other stuff, but you have to be very careful with it. So for me, what I'm doing on my cheat days is a couple things. First and foremost is, instead of treating myself to, like, Chipotle, God, I am going to miss Chipotle for quite some time, but the sodium count is too high! So rather than doing stuff like Chipotle and, like, Cold Stone and crumble cookies and whatnot, I'm actually being smart about my cheat day. And that is that instead of doing the other stuff I mentioned, amongst other things, I'm actually opted the cheat day for sushi instead, because, you know, the rice may not be too helpful in terms of, like, the Mediterranean diet, but there's also, like, tuna, there is salmon, there is soy sauce, there's other kinds of fish that usually goes in sushi that are very good for you and provide the much needed nutrients that can help improve your health and possibly lose weight. So that's what I've done. Like, earlier today, I went to a nearby sushi place, got some sushi, and that's what I'm going to be doing for, like, the cheat days going forward until I get the weight down, because I really enjoy sushi. It's, like, one of my most favorite foods, so why not? The other thing is that I have to be careful about sweets, is that originally what I'm planning to do is, like, cut off sweets entirely unless they're, like, either special occasions or maybe when I get the weight down, I'll be a bit more lenient. Like, I don't want to introduce sweets into the cheat days until I go down a certain weight. Like, maybe, just to be safe, maybe I want to wait until after I get below 200. Because, like, I want to be at a comfortable place in terms of, like, my weight loss before I, you know, go back to adding sweets to the Mediterranean diet. Now, in terms of how to do it, I've actually been looking into that. Because one of the things that is okay for the Mediterranean diet, maybe not highly recommended, but okay, is very specifically semi-sweet chocolate chips, but you have to make sure the cocoa content is above 50%. So, semi-sweet chocolate chips by themselves are fine. But the issue is everything else that goes with it if you're thinking about, like, in a cookie or in a cake or, like, anything else to it. Like, the chocolate chips by themselves are not going to hurt you that much. But, you know, it's like, it's other stuff that goes into it that's going to hurt you. So, what I plan to do in terms of that is, what I want to do, at least when I get the weight down a little bit more before I do it, is do a few tablespoons of the chocolate chips just by themselves. That's it. Nothing else to it. Because the semi-sweet chocolate chips by themselves are not that too high in calories. If you just do, like, a few tablespoons, you'll be fine. As long as you're getting other nutrients in it too. You're not eating sweets all day. And make sure to drink plenty of water also. So, my goal is, for the rest of this year, I want to lose as much weight as possible before Thanksgiving and Christmas comes along. Like, Halloween, I'm not really too worried because I don't really eat that much candy anymore. And, like, I don't really plan to on Halloween. So, that's not going to be a problem. But a major obstacle I'm seeing is, like, Thanksgiving, because, you know, people eat a lot on Thanksgiving. And there's also, like, my birthday right around the corner. And, you know, like, usually when it comes to, like, my birthday, I usually enjoy, like, maybe some pizza for lunch. And, like, you know, yellow cake with chocolate icing on it. So, it's like, I want to get a lot of the weight down beforehand because, like, I know those are coming up, and I also know that, Christmas is coming up, and, me and my younger brother have this tradition on Christmas Eve where we bake a whole bunch of batches of cookies before we go to bed. And I just have this feeling that I'm not going to be able to say no. So, like, I'm trying to get as much weight down before those big holidays shows up because I know I'm going to be struggling. Like, that's going to be the biggest hurdle. Like, this was a rather interesting time for me to start a diet of all times because, like, I need to lose quite a bit of weight before then so I would, feel comfortable. Like, it's, like, granted, it's not going to be like you eat one bite of cookie and then all of a sudden, boom, you gain all the way back. That's not how it works. But again, if you overindulge, you're going to get that weight back. So, I'm going to have to work on it. Like, I'm doing pretty good on the first week so far. Almost lost 5 pounds. So, I'm really happy about that. But I still got a long way to go. Like, so in the next coming weeks, I'm going to talk to my mom about, like, maybe we could make some salads before the week, have the salads, during my lunch break along with some fruits, because while the Subway sandwich is a good idea, it's also a little bit pricey. So it's not like I could do that every single day. It's going to hurt my wallet after a while. So I'm going to talk to my mom about, like, doing the salad idea. Maybe we could do that, fruits and veggies. And that way, it's not like I'm completely reliant on that Subway sandwich all the time. So I have a basic game plan so far. I'm making good progress so far. So what I'm going to do with future live streams is, before we talk about the subject of the live stream, I am going to give you an update in terms of, like, how I'm doing with the Mediterranean diet. Not only to keep you posted on how much weight I'm losing or if it stopped or something like that, but in a way, this will also give myself the discipline I need, to keep going with the diet. Keep weekly reports on how things are going, what needs to change, and what needs to, keep going, And that's going to be the plan going forward. It's going to be, like, several months. And, one of the biggest challenges is going to be, like, what to do after you lose the weight, or after I lose the weight. But we'll tackle that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So that's basically the announcement and my reasoning as to why I'm doing the diet plan. And, I hope you guys enjoy watching the stream. I hope you guys really enjoy the news that I'm giving. It's something I should have been doing for quite a while now. But, it's time to finally get back on the horse, and it's time to finally lose the weight. It's time to finally get rid of this double chin. So, hopefully over time you're going to see some difference. I'm going to do my best to work on it. And, yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you, Miss Sharon, for saying good luck. I really appreciate that. Something tells me I'm going to need it. So, thank you very much for watching this stream, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it afterwards. If you enjoy what you see, consider liking and subscribing to Toastamac and clicking that bell icon to stay up to date in our latest videos. It also helps you keep to date whenever I'm going live. So, I'm going to do one more stream where I do it at 6 p.m. again. And then maybe some future other ones. I'm going to try maybe a late night stream. Maybe like 8 p.m. or something like that. Now, if for whatever reason you guys feel like, maybe people don't have times on Fridays, maybe you would prefer it to be a Saturday evening stream instead, like something I could do after work, just let me know. Like, if we want to keep it on Fridays, we'll keep it on Fridays. If you think it would be better for people to catch it live on Saturdays in the evenings, then we'll do it Saturday evenings. Let me know. So, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Best of luck to me on my diet. I'm sure I'll do well. And until the next video or live stream, see you later.